Hello, everyone. Welcome to the English podcast. So, based on the really insightful notes you shared with us about getting more fluent in English, we're jumping into something that can, well, genuinely change how you interact with the language.
That's right.
We're talking about thinking in English. And look, this isn't about just memorizing lists or, constantly translating word for word in your head. That's exhausting.
It really is. It's about a much more direct connection.
Exactly. So our mission here is to really unpack what thinking in English actually means, maybe why it feels like such a sticking point for so many people, and crucially, how you can start doing it, like practically, today.
Yeah, we've looked through the materials you sent, and it's clear this is a key thing you're aiming for. It's a concept that honestly makes a huge difference. I'm excited to get into it.
Great. So let's start right there. What is thinking in English? When we say that, what are we actually talking about? It sounds straightforward, but I have a feeling there's a bit more to it.
There definitely is. You see, the common trap, especially for learners who maybe learned in a more traditional way, is that their brain works in steps. First, the thought forms in their native language.
Right.
Then there's this conscious mental gear shift, a translation process into English, and then they speak. It's always this two-step, sometimes three-step process.
And you mentioned in the notes how slow that feels, and frankly, how stressful that constant mental juggling act can be.
It's incredibly taxing. It's like trying to walk while constantly solving little math problems in your head. You're bound to stumble, hesitate.
Yeah, or the words just come out feeling a bit off, clunky.
Exactly. So thinking in English, that's when your thoughts, that inner voice, and the words you actually say, they're all happening in the same language. In English.
So it cuts out that middleman, that translation step.
Precisely. It removes the bottleneck. Communication gets faster, smoother, and this is key. It sounds and feels more natural. You're lightening the cognitive load.
Okay, that makes total sense. It's a more direct path. So why is it so hard then? If it's more efficient, why do so many people, even those with good grammar and vocabulary, struggle to actually do it? What's the barrier?
It really boils down to habit. It's not usually about lacking the words or the grammar rules. It's about what your brain defaults to.
Habit. How so?
Well, think about it. Your brain loves efficiency, right? It takes the path of least resistance. If you spend, say, 23 hours of your day thinking, dreaming, planning in your native language, Hindi, Spanish, Japanese, whatever it is.
Right, just living your life.
Exactly. And then maybe just 1 hour consciously using English, your brain hasn't been trained to use English as its default operating system for thought. It always reverts back.
So it's like going to the gym once a week and expecting to be super fit. It just doesn't build the muscle.
That's a great analogy. It's exactly that. You haven't put in the consistent reps to make English the brain's go-to choice for internal processing. We need to train it, reprogram that default setting.
Does that mean it feels a bit weird or uncomfortable at first? Like the brain is resisting?
Oh, absolutely. There could be some initial resistance, just like starting any new habit. But you're essentially training your brain to see English as the easy path for thinking, not just for talking to others. It's about shifting from English when I need it to English is just how I think.
Okay, let's get practical then. Based on the insights we've gathered, how does someone actually start making this shift? What are the first concrete steps you can take without feeling totally overwhelmed?
Right. The first step, and it's super accessible, it's something we can call name your world.
Name your world.
Yeah, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just look around and in your head, silently, label things in English.
Like, literally just thinking, chair, table, window.
Exactly. Or this is my coffee cup. That bus is late. If you're doing something, narrate it simply. I'm walking. I need to buy milk. It feels cold today. Or even, oops, forgot my keys. Just simple internal commentary.
Like narrating your own life silently. Does that really help, just thinking tree, car, sign?
It really does. It might feel a bit silly at first, maybe, but it's surprisingly powerful. You're forging a direct link in your brain between the thing or the action and the English word. No native language middleman.
Bypassing the translation.
Right. It builds up that mental speed and recall for everyday things, and there's zero pressure because it's all in your head. I remember a student who started doing this on his commute.
Yeah.
He said he felt a bit strange mentally listing, red light, crowded sidewalk, noisy construction. But after just a few weeks, he noticed basic words were coming to him much, much faster when he needed them.
I like that. It's like being the quiet director's commentary for your own day. Okay, so you start labeling your world. What's the next step up? Where do you go from there?
The next level is step 2. Develop an internal monologue.
Okay, internal monologue, like talking to yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. But deliberately, in English, inside your head. Start having little mini conversations with yourself. Ask yourself questions.
Like what kind of questions?
Simple stuff. Okay, what do I need to get done today?
Hmm.
Or maybe reflecting, why am I feeling a bit stressed right now?
Hmm.
Or planning, should I call Sarah later? What should I make for dinner?
Ah, I see. So you're using English not just to label, but to actually think, to process, plan, reflect.
Precisely.
Hmm.
That's the crucial bit. It shifts English from being just a communication tool for the outside world to
Yeah.
being the language you use for your internal world, your thoughts, your feelings, your problem solving. It makes it part of you.
Right. Okay, but here's something I know comes up. You probably saw it in the notes too. What happens when you're doing this internal monologue, or even just naming things, and you hit a word you don't know in English? Doesn't that just stop you cold? Doesn't that break the flow and make you feel, frustrated?
Oh, absolutely. That happens. It's totally normal and honestly expected. It's
Mm.
part of the process.
So what do? Just give up on that thought. Switch back to your native language for that word.
No, definitely don't stop. The trick is to work around it. Describe the word or the idea using the English you do know.
Describe it, like how?
Okay, say you're thinking about breakfast and you can't remember the word toaster. Instead of getting stuck, you just think, oh, I'll use that machine that makes bread hot and crispy.
Ah, okay. Or if you forget umbrella.
You think, I need that. That thing I hold over my head when it rains. You just describe its function or appearance.
Got it. So the message is, don't panic, don't stop the flow, just find another way to say it using the English you have.
Exactly. And here's the bonus. Doing that actually builds another really important skill. It makes you better at improvising and explaining things, even when you have vocabulary gaps in a real conversation. It builds flexibility. The goal isn't word-perfect thoughts, it's keeping the thinking process going in English.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's fast forward. Someone practices naming their world, they start developing that internal monologue, they get used to describing words they don't know. Does speaking out loud then get easier automatically? Is there a clear link?
Yes, absolutely. There's a very direct transfer.
Right.
When your thoughts are already formed in English, speaking is more like just opening the tap.
Right, the words are already there. No translation needed.
Exactly. There's no delay while your brain translates. The words just flow out much more naturally, more spontaneously. And this is where it gets really interesting, something highlighted in the materials you shared.
What's that?
You start to sound less. Well, less translated.
Less like you're reading a script translated from another language.
Precisely. You sound more natural. And it's not just the words. You start to pick up on the rhythm, the intonation, even the cultural nuances embedded in how native speakers express themselves.
Like, maybe instead of a very literal translation like, my stomach is making noises, you'd naturally think and say, wow, I'm really hungry, or I'm starving.
Exactly that. Thinking in English helps you internalize those natural idiomatic ways of saying things. You start to feel the language from the inside out, not just apply rules from the outside in.
Okay, let's talk about timing, because people always want to know, how long does this take? If you practice consistently, when can you expect to feel this shift, to feel more comfortable thinking in English?
Well, based on the research and experiences shared, if you're consistent, and consistent can mean just 10 or 15 minutes of focused, active practice each day.
Just 10 or 15 minutes, that's not much.
It's surprisingly effective. If you do that, you'll likely start feeling a real difference, a noticeable shift, within maybe a few weeks. That's enough time for those new neural connections to start strengthening.
A few weeks, okay. And for it to become more automatic.
For your brain to really start defaulting to English for certain thoughts, especially simple observations or routine tasks, maybe around the 3-month mark of that consistent practice, it starts to become more second nature then.
That's actually quite encouraging. It's not years and years away. And the great thing, as you mentioned, is how flexible this practice is. You don't need a special time or place.
Not at all.
You can do it while you're walking, cooking, waiting for the kettle to boil, taking a shower.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it. Language isn't just a school subject you study from K to M. It's life. It's meant to be woven into your day. The more you pull English into those ordinary, everyday moments, the ones that used to be purely native language territory, the faster and more naturally the fluency develops. You're basically creating your own little immersion bubble.
Right, a mental immersion. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, what's a final thought or maybe some encouragement you'd offer to someone listening right now who's thinking, okay, this sounds good, but maybe a bit intimidating? Someone doubting if they can really change how their brain works.
Yeah, that self-doubt is really common. So if you're listening and that little voice is saying, but my English isn't good enough yet, I
Hmm.
can't think in it properly.
Yeah.
You're wrong. You absolutely can start now. You know enough. Start small. Just those simple thoughts. Naming your world like we talked about.
Just start narrating.
Just narrate. Make English feel like a friend walking alongside you through your day, not some big, scary task you have to tackle. And remember, this came too strongly in the materials. Fluency isn't really the goal you achieve at the very end.
What is it then?
Fluency is more like a side effect. It's the natural result of showing up and doing that little bit of practice consistently, day after day.
Fluency is a side effect of daily practice. I really like that. That takes the pressure off chasing some elusive endpoint. It puts the focus on the process, the daily habit.
Exactly.
So the big takeaway from this deep dive really seems to be that consistent daily mental practice, even just for short bursts, is how you genuinely train your brain to operate directly in English, paving the way for real fluency.
That's the core of it. Okay.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to consider as you go about your day. Think about one totally mundane moment, maybe washing the dishes later, walking to the shop, waiting in line somewhere, and just try it. Challenge yourself just for a minute or two to narrate that moment entirely in English, just inside your head. How might starting that one simple shift begin to change your relationship with English right now?